Hello everyone, and welcome to this new June Creative Challenge Illustrator edition. I am so excited because although you can use all of the challenges that I have prepared for you this month, you can also build up on it and create maybe a zine, which I am planning to do and show you at the very end of this challenge. It's going to be amazing. So without further ado, let's look at what I have prepared for you today. So here you can also find this presentation in your kit that you can download. The downloadable link is in your the link in the description below. So today it won't necessarily be insane, meaning we won't do a crazy design, but we will definitely be talking about foundation. And something that I have noticed when looking at some of your designs for a previous challenge is that sometimes it's lacking a little bit of alignment, and that is totally okay because we will be looking at how can we figure this out in Illustrator, because InDesign offers us a great system for grids, but how can we do the same in Illustrator without us pulling from the ruler? Very easy. So we will be creating one today. So before we hop into Illustrator, I want to say hi Voodoo Val, so good to see you. Hi Frank, Hal, hi Clarissa, Alejandro, Umacorn, and Robert. We have Patrick. Hey Patrick. And yes, thank you so much for being here. So let me know actually in the chat if you do use grids whenever you're designing, or if this is something new, because I would really love to know about this. All right, so here in Illustrator, so very easy. I mean, you can start from the blank document that I have offered you again in that link, but you can also just create one. I'm working here with a simple letter format. So there is going to be a bit of key frames here, and by that I mean shortcuts, but again, everything, all the steps are in here. So the first thing would be to create a rectangle. And for that, I'm just going to make sure that the fill option is turned off. Create a rectangle. It doesn't matter how big it is because I want to make sure that it's covering the full artboard that we have. And this here, so basically letter is 8.5 by 11. Just need to write it down. I have a French Canadian keyboard, so sometimes my period and my comma, I mix them up. And then that's 11. So here it would be in your properties transform, just to make sure that, you know, oh, and it's not the right format. That is okay. Did I do bigger than this? I can't remember. It's an 11 by 14, so easier, 11 by 14. So this is actually poster size, which I also like. It is not 11 by 14. Oh my goodness. Let me have a sip of coffee because it looks like it's that kind of day. All right. Perfect. So now this is something that is not in the steps that I have given you in the PDF, but if you wanted to make sure that you had a border around your working document that is perfectly equal everywhere, just make sure that you have that rectangle selected. You would go to Object, Path, Offset Path. And here, make sure that the preview option is checked. And you could do -1 here. You have to make sure that the minus is there. So it could be actually -1 might be a little big. So if I undo this, see, it's, I mean, for this type of document, because it's big, it works. But for a smaller document, you might want to go smaller. So I do like this here. And as you can see, it's copying, it's creating another shape, which I don't want to have at the moment. Okay, so now that we have this rectangle created, I just want to make sure that it is perfectly centered. So you can use your align tool, but it should already be centered. This is most likely if you have clicked on something and you have moved it around by accident, which it happens to the best of us. Now that I know that it is perfectly centered, I want to highlight that shape again. And I want to go to Object. I'm going to go to Path. I'm going to go into Split into Grid. And this is where the magic happens. So again, I want to make sure that the preview option here is selected. And here you can see we have an option for the number of rows and an option for columns. So rows is horizontal and columns is obviously vertical. So the best way to be making sure that everything is aligned is to make sure that you have lines that are intersecting at both horizontal and vertical. So here we will be just adding a few numbers. As you can see, it's creating some lines. I do like to work in an uneven number, but this might be a little advanced with uneven because that means that you can't center stuff. You need to make sure that everything is properly aligned. So for the sake of today, we'll go with an even number, and we will do the exact same here for the columns. Then I want to make sure that there is a little gap. So I want to have a gutter between the grid that I'm created. So you could go here. I'll just make that a little bigger. And as you can see, it's creating like those gutters. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this. So let's click OK. And you have a grid. But now you're like, Izzy, these are just shapes. And you are absolutely right. So now what we are going to do is select everything. And you're going to do Command 5 or Control 5 if you are on a PC. And as you can see, this has created some lines as if they were guides. So if I were to go to trim view here, I am no longer seeing those lines or those guides or this grid, which is awesome because this is what we want to create. So if I turn off trim view here, I can see my grids. You can definitely move them around, but that would defeat the purpose of having a grid that you use as a guide to build your composition. So I'm just going to undo this. So I'm going to select everything again and then lock it. So to lock quickly, you can do Command 2. Oops, my bad. Like so. Or you can also create a layer. So your layer panel is here. Mine is already locked, but you could call it grid and lock that layer right here. Easy and simple as that. It took us, 5 minutes to create a grid, and now it's time to use that grid to design. So before we hop into this, I want to see if you guys are using the grid. So, Umacorn, you got the zine. Awesome, I'm so happy. Andrew saying that the source file is in the link in the description. Awesome, thank you so much, Andrew. Your support is always so appreciated. So Keys is saying, I mean, most people should frame their keys. Amazing feature mechanic. Oh, right. Okay. Sounds good. Perfect. So now that we have this grid in working, in motion, we can now add another layer and we can call it design. And what I do like about it, make sure that this is unlock all for this purpose, is that if you were to work on multiple pages, you can also select your artboard tool and just duplicate it like so. And then, oops, you have a lot of documents with a grid on it. Okay, so now you might be, I'm just gonna undo this here, it's in the way. So now you might be saying, okay, but now that I have a grid, how do I use it? Well, we're going to do this. So I am very happy that it is June and that the summer vibes are among us. I'm going to save this. I want to create the same thing, but for a postcard, as if we were saying hello to June. So I'm going to do a new document here. It's already preset in exactly what I want. For a postcard, I want to have 5 inches by 7. I don't want to bleed. I mean, I could add it after, no problem. If I intend to print it, I would use CMYK. And I'm just going to do create. So we're going to do the same thing here, but I'm going to add, instead of having an even number, an uneven number for the grid. So I'm going to create this here, again, making sure that shape isn't filled. And as you can see here, that's why I like to use the transform option here, because as you can see, I'm not exactly at 5 by 7. Not by much though, but it's just to make sure that we have precision, which is again the why you would want to have a grid to design with. Perfect. Now I'm actually not going to do the offset path for this because I'm gonna decide for myself where I want this, and I'm pretty happy with this here. Basically, I just hold down my shift key and made my rectangle a little smaller. Path, split into grid, making sure that preview button. I'm gonna do 5 for this as well, and my gutters a little smaller this time. It looks like this. Again, Command 5 and Command 2, and then create a new layer. Grid, another one, design. It's really cool too. Or not cool, or you should get acquainted with using layers to design in Illustrator. Okay, so we are looking for some summer vibes. I'm seeing, did I see purple? Did I see purple? Who says purple? Voodoo Val, I know you like purple, so should I use purple in this design? Is that what you're telling me? There you go. Okay. So for this, I want to be importing, I'm going to be placing an image. I have some images over here, and I do like this one. So I'm going to be just a little bit outside of the grid for this at the beginning because I just want to make sure that we are covering the full artboard with this. Oh, and before I do this, actually, I'm going to copy it because I have to do the back of this postcard as well. Oops. And because I had this locked, it did not follow the artboard. See, we all make simple mistakes like this, but that's okay. Now I can lock it again. And I'm actually going to put it just a little further out so I have some room to design the front of my postcard here. Okay, so let's just do this here. And then I was thinking that this is a little too white for me. If you do this, like the background is white and I want it to be a bit more colorful, because when I think about summer, I do think about a lot of pinks and orange and yellows, basically flower colors. So I'm going to just design a quick gradient on top. You can get the gradient tool, making sure that the fill option here is selected. like this nice warm pink, just a little bit more. Yeah, like that. I like a lot of corals. And then for the other color, something orange like so. And I'm going to just switch the angle. I like that. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an effect on it. So going to property, opacity, and if you can like play with those wonderful overlay options here. Multiply is a go-to, but I don't want that. I think I want a color burn. No, sometimes you just have to play with it to see. Oh, I like that. I really like this. What if we do trim view just to see? Perfect. What are we thinking about this? And now I'm gonna, and this is whenever you're using text, that is the most, I would say, beneficial to use a grid. So we're gonna use it right now. So here I'm gonna say, hello, June. I'm gonna make that bigger for all of you to see. And I have this really nice funky font that is called Tan Enigma that I was very excited to just design with because I mean, it is gorge. It is gorgeous. I'm going to separate the two words here. Hello, June. And you know what? As I'm doing this, I'm noticing that there's a conflict of visibility. That means that because of the texture at the back, I cannot see the words really well. So I'm going to duplicate this and apply a quick effect. So I'm going to go to Effect, Texture, Grain. And this is essentially like the old like Photoshop if you used to apply some effects here. See, I am actually quite happy with this. It's basically everything is at 100%, but I'm going to multiply it. So I'm gonna press OK. And as you can see, this is actually a little intense. Maybe it's because of it's at darken. So if I do multiply, there you go. And then I can put my text here in white. Then I'm gonna check for that. There you go. Now we can properly see the text. Okay, so first thing here is, as you can see, I'm aligning that H with this line here, and I'm going to do the same with the O just to make sure that it's taking the full width of where I have determined where the design is going to be. Like so. Now I'm going to use my eyedropper because I want that June to be the same width and height, and I'm going to place it right over here. So as you can see, it's not necessarily using the full height here, but I'm still using those lines as a guide, like so. And if we were to do a trim view, already it's looking a little bit more aligned than if I was eyeing it and maybe only using the rulers, right? So another thing that I want to mention here is whenever there's an O, as you can see, even though it's perfectly aligned here, you have to also know about how to adjust everything optically. So if I go back here, I would just move this a little like back, just so it looks a little aligned. This is a little advanced, but something to keep in mind in your design journey. So going back to this, and now I have this fun quote here that I want to implement in the design. And I might not have the time to do the back, of the postcard, but at least we'll have the front. So I'm just going to change this to Elsa text, which a lot of you know, is my favorite Adobe font. So this is a little big, so I want to make it a little smaller. And my default was having everything in caps, so I don't want that. And I'm going to go to medium, like this here. I'm going to put this white. And this is also where you can have a lot of fun with grids. It's mostly when there's a lot of text, right? So if you were to adjust your text box so it fits perfectly within those lines, but that also means that you can have fun and play with it like so, right? So as long as you're fitting in within those columns, then you'll be sure that your design will be properly aligned. Now, because we aligned the Hello June to the left, this is not necessarily the best practice to have text also justified. I said left, but it was right, sorry. To have justified text to the right. So I would bring my text over here instead, and then make this box bigger. This is a little big. And I would bring this down like so. Let's do a quick trim view. It's looking good. And then I feel like we need something like Hello Summer or something like that. And I'm being mindful of the time. We only have a few minutes left. We got this. We'll say summer vibes. Then we'll have another one that says 2024. I can't believe it's already June. I feel like this year has gone by so fast. I don't know, do you also feel like this? And then put this white like so. And same thing. Actually, I'm gonna align it with this, and I'm going to align the 2024 right here. So essentially, this is how you would use columns within your Illustrator files. Let's do a quick trim view so you can see. So see, even though we are having kind of something that is not necessarily perfectly aligned to the left, we are still seeing that some lines are being created within our design. So this is a very good way to just start designing all your files. Here I have some more examples here. Oh, this was the another postcard I did quickly. But if you were to design, let's say, a layout for a newspaper, it would look like this. So your title can fit the full thing, your subtitle, half of it, and then your full paragraph right here, which is also in the document. So I hope that you liked this challenge. If you are thinking about sending this into Discord, make sure to take a screenshot so we can actually see your grids and how you have used it, because you never know, again, whom you might inspire later. So I can't wait to see what you come up with. I'll be back next week with another challenge. And on that, see you soon and take care.